What's poppin', guys? This is House Cat MMA, and right now I'm going to be going over some domestic abuse allegations, some potential legal trouble as it pertains to Ilia Topuria, and I'm going to go over some things that Bryce Mitchell said about Ilia Topuria. But before I get into all that, if you just take a second to like and subscribe, that'll be the coolest thing you've done this morning. And also, if you do a little bit of commenting and sharing, I would greatly appreciate that. So Ilia Topuria, everybody knows he's been going through a divorce. And a recent development is that Ilia Topuria's old lady, or ex-old lady, said that, he did a little bit of domestic abuse in their relationship. And that's no good. If a man does that, he's not a good man. And Bryce basically went online and basically said, you're a bitch if you beat your woman, you go to hell if you beat your woman. And Bryce kind of went into, how Bryce said he never had his dad around, but he would rather not have his dad around if his dad was going to go beating on his woman. And he was claiming, well, he said that Ilia Topuria should stop drinking. He said he should stop drinking. And, I knew Ilia Topuria likes wine, but I don't know if Bryce has anything to base his alcohol consumption on. I never really knew of Ilia doing some hard drinking or anything like that. But, if you take to drinking, you take to hitting the bottle pretty hard, you might beat your old lady, and that's no good. That's the shit that should get somebody sober if they get drunk and do that. And Bryce is just kind of pissed that Ilia choked him out about 3 years ago. So once he saw some things he could say bad about Ilia, he just went online and just kind of bashed him. I get that. I've never had anybody choke me out, but I'm sure if somebody arm triangled me out, I would be chomping at the bit to say mean things about him. And here's the thing. If Ilia did do what folks are trying to say he did, that's awful. And he should go with Christ, like Bryce said. But it's like what Hunter S. Thompson's lawyer said on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Even a werewolf is entitled to legal counsel. And, I just think that folks should let the courts, if there is going to be any courts, handle it. I don't particularly like when some guy has, allegations, and the day they find out, the hour they find out, they go online and start talking all kinds of shit about him. Like, no. And the reason why I don't like that is because whoever does that, whoever goes on social media or the YouTube and does, a monologue like what Bryce Mitchell did, they weren't there and they don't know what happened. And I'm not trying to say that, I'm not saying that Ilia did do it, and I'm not saying that he did not do it. And that's how everybody should be. Like, let the fucking courts handle the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's anybody's place to give anybody shit about what's going on in their home. Now, if it's true, if it comes out that it's true, there's concrete proof, and Ilia gets prosecuted or whatever the fuck happens, then yeah, go online, talk all the shit you want, because beating your significant other, beating a woman, period, is top 5 worst things you can do in life. Maybe top 10. There's some pretty bad things you can do, but I'll put beating your woman or a woman in there with that, maybe rank number 3 or 4. So, I don't think it's fair for people to do that, is all I'm trying to say. And, when I look into Ilia Topuria's eyes, the eyes aren't going to tell you the full story, but just from the outside looking in, when I see Ilia doing long form content, I don't see a man that likes to beat up on his woman. And so, and you can't really base shit on that, but that's just what I see. And, you know, as far as Bryce Mitchell giving Ilia a hard time, you know, Bryce has a right to do that. I mean, Ilia talked all kinds of shit to Bryce, got on social media and pranced around in a set of overalls after he beat Bryce. And so I'm going to give Bryce a pass on that because of, you know, he's got history with Ilia. And I just kind of love when Bryce gets on his soapbox and tells people he should go with the Lord. You know, that's just his rebuttal to everything. You get a DUI. You got to go with the Lord, brother. You sprain your elbow at a bonfire. You got to go with the Lord, brother. You know, I kind of think shit like that's funny. And I'm kind of wondering, because if Ilia was beating on his woman, I wonder why, when he did it, I wonder why it didn't come out like the morning after he did it. Again, I'm not saying he did, I'm not saying he didn't. But why didn't it come out then? Why is it just coming out when him and his old lady are getting a divorce? Why is it coming out just now? Because when I look into the eyes of Topuria's old lady, I see a woman who is a dime piece, and I'm seeing a woman that might be, because Ilia Topuria is loaded, I see a woman that might be looking for some money. But I'm not saying that's the case, because maybe Ilia did do it and she was embarrassed, she didn't want it to come out, you know what I'm saying? And then, but Ilia was pissing her off, and now she's finally doing it. That could be the case, but I'm just wondering why it's coming out when it's publicized that they're getting a divorce. But again, I'm not saying Ilia did it, I'm not saying that he didn't. Even a werewolf is entitled to legal counsel, kind of thing. But that's pretty much all I have on that. Feel free to let me know what you thought in this video in the comments, and feel free to let me know any ideas you have that I can make videos on. I'd appreciate that too. I'm open to all things, but this is House Cat MMA, and I'll catch y'all later.